Well, hello everyone, Unlimited Wisdom family and members. Thank you very much for jumping on here. Hi, Deborah Bronner. Hi, Melody. Hi, Sarah, Lisa Marie, Sandy, and Deborah Grady. And of course, the hostess with the mostest, Craig Jackman. I appreciate you. Scott, thanks for jumping on. And the subject today is going to be, isn't it about time? Or about time? And so I know you guys have probably have seen this before, but I thought I'd throw this up and have you guys look at this. Whenever you're dealing with anything in life, it sure, I would say that this more than anything, uh, excuse me, and I'll talk about that today. This more than anything is the number one excuse. I mean, and I'll tell you why. In a lot of situations in my life, if I wanted something or I wanted to do something, I'm pretty creative in finding the money. Are you guys that way? It's like, if I want something, it's like, listen, I Coach Bob, thanks for jumping on. Hi, Dustin. And so when I want to do something, I can find the money. It's whether or not I'm going to adjust things in my life to make time for it. Right? So me and Craig were talking about this. I thought it was a really cool. For those of you that didn't see this, I'll throw it back up there. But Matt, now with him doing a lot of things, a person has a tendency of saying, "Wow, I'm really busy." And one of the things that I love is when I first got involved in martial arts, and I just heard a story about this recently. But there was this thing that someone was talking about with. It was sort of like a joke, set up as a joke. Hi, Shelley. But then it didn't. But people were like saying that there was going to be a mixed martial arts fight between Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but it was going all over the place, right? And so Mr. Beast was on Joe Rogan, and Mr. Beast immediately said, he goes, "Was that ever going to happen?" And Joe Rogan goes, "Yeah, Dana White was looking for it. They were even thinking about setting up this incredible thing inside the Roman Colosseum." Like they did on the White House lawn, right? And and one of the things that Mr. Beast said immediately, and he goes, "Have you met Mark Zuckerberg?" And Joe Rogan goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Listen, I spent some time with Mark Zuckerberg." And all of a sudden, he just looked at his watch and he says, "Hey, you want to go with me?" He says, I got to go to the gym. And I looked at him and I went, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he said, so I went with him and he went to the mixed martial arts gym that's close to his house. And he goes, "You should roll around." He says, "I got to get extra gi." He said, you can just roll around." And Mr. B said, "Not interested, not interested at all." And he says, he goes, "It's easy to watch somebody do something and you can immediately see if they took the time to practice." And he goes, I don't know much about mixed martial arts, but just watching Mark Zuckerberg, there's no doubt in my mind that he could kick Elon's ass and do it fast. And he said, "What do you think, Joe Rogan?" You know what I mean? And Joe Rogan goes, "You are absolutely correct." He said, Mark Zuckerberg, he said, if someone was going to bet on Polymarket or any one of these things, if Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg fought, even though Elon Musk is probably like 100 pounds heavier than him, you know what I mean? He said the only thing that you would vote on is how fast Elon Musk either passed out or tapped out because Mark Zuckerberg is just that good. And when I thought about, sharing with you guys today, the whole concept of time, that's when we see Matt doing what he's doing, that he just keeps getting gooder and gooder. It seems like, the amount of time, it's like, it's weird that, first of all, how many of you love this statement? You might not, but you should love this statement that, all of us have the same 24 hours in a day. It's just what we decide to do with it. And so when you really, really think about that, Matt said that he watched recently some interview about Steve Jobs, and then also watched something about Elon Musk. And there was just like the amount of time that these people can generate. So, to think that we all have the same 24 hours in a day, but some people are just a little more effective with the amount of time they have. So I know that I've shared this before, but I just thought this would be always a great time to talk about this. But the very first training that I went to with my mentor, here's my little spiral notebook, you know what I mean? And, October, is that October? Yeah. October 28th, 1987. Okay. And so the very first thing that he talked about, the very first page is it's hard to be successful. It's hard to be successful and happy in life if you haven't slated time for it. That's like the first line that I wrote in there. And he goes, if you don't know where there's time to do the things you need to do to get gooder and better at life, you're not gonna. Of course, I put the gooder in there, right? And so the first thing that he had us do is, log down again and take inventory of exactly what we do in a day. And I've been talking about that a lot because, moving into the new Unlimited Wisdom platform, and by the way, Deborah, I love your background. It looks beautiful. It's like, it's just one of those things where if every one of us are in a situation where we already have all our time accounted for, and I would say a lot of us are in that drifting, we did a whole mastermind about drifting, but we just get in this pattern, the hamster in the cage running in the circle. We just get in this ritual, this routine, these habits that this is when I do this, this is when I do this, this is when I do this. And it's probably more for comfort than anything. But if you looked at anything and just went, wow, I didn't realize that I really do waste 3 hours of my day doing whatever. And so why am I doing this? See, if you're doing it because you wanted to get better at mixed martial arts, or you wanted to get better because you were going to do something, I think we talked about that on Recess, watching this guy. I can't wait for his story to come out, but that guy that just broke the 27-year record, for running a mile, when all of us have heard the motivational stories our entire life about, scientists, we always hear this story, right? That scientists and people in the know, the experts, the scientists, said they did not believe it was possible to run a mile under 4 minutes. Isn't that crazy? And one of the things I always love about when people say that, it's like there's always this sliver of people that didn't get the memo. You know what I mean? There's this group of people that went, why? I never heard that. I didn't know that you could do it. So it seems like we know that when Bannister finally broke the record, that I don't know the exact numbers, so I'm just throwing them out there. But when Bannister broke the record, I think it was broken like 11 more times in the next like year, couple of years, right? So once it happened and people seen it could happen, then it was just like one person after another, after another, after another, after another. But don't you guys find it interesting, this new guy that ran it, that record has been going for 27 years? So that must have got to a point again where someone broke the record and then what? The rest of the runners, the rest of the athletes, the rest of the people that are growing up saying, one day I want to be a track, they're just going, okay, so that's a record that isn't going to be beat. And I always love making fun with this story because, especially when you're talking about marathons and running, and track, because I always laughed at myself just wondering what that kind of coach would be like. You know what I mean? So it's like you got Coach Bob here, and it's like, listen, Coach Bob, I want to run a marathon. So what are we doing today? And it's like, well, we're running today. That's what we're running today. What time are we running? Yeah, but after we get done running, what do you think we should do tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow we should run. I think we should do some, running tomorrow. It's like, come on, can I do something else? This is like boring. Well, I thought the goal was to become a good runner. Right. So then when are you going to run? And so when you really, really look at your life and me moving forward, because I'm really not only excited, to continue to promote, the stuff that Mac creates, but I'm really, really excited to build a platform of limited wisdom, exactly what I've always dreamed it could be. You know what I mean? And it was funny because I had a conversation with an old friend today. I call him an old friend, but I had a conversation with Josh Wagel, and just seeing where his hit is, right? And so now he's single again, and he moved from Michigan back to Las Vegas. I thought that was a good move for him, especially because his parents were there. So then the grandkids get to see the parents, and I just sort of my mind went. So he was reaching out to Matthew, going, "What's up? What are we doing?" And so I thought it was pretty interesting because, some of you know that I'm very open on what's going on. I'm going like, hey, we got to get up to date if you want to have a conversation with me at all. Right. And he went, you're right, and immediately sent us a documentation that he sent Matt the money he owed him. So, and so I think that right after he did that, then he gave me a call and he goes, this is what he said. I thought it was hilarious. He goes, so what are we focused on right now? What are we focused on right now? And I said, well, yeah, Lisa Marie, I agree. And I just said to him, I went, you know, and I go, so what kind of idea do you have? And he said, well, I talked to Chris Robinson. I caught up with Chris Robinson. He said that deliberately. And he said, yeah, he said, I talked to Chris Robinson. And I was like, after I got done telling him, I'm really, really hungry. And listen, the theme for what we're talking about today. And he's going, I'm really hungry and I have a lot of energy. I want to reset. And he's going, I need something to throw all my energy in. Right. And isn't it interesting that you mentally in your mind go, I need to change what's going on in my life? And immediately what you got to do is find the time to do it. Because if you look at your life and you got all your time already accounted for, how many of you realize that you're going like, man, I need to do something. I want to make extra money. I have some things on my bucket list. I got some things that I would like to do. I've imagined for me and my family, and I'm really, really excited. I want to do something. I want to do something. But then you don't change anything. You don't change anything in your daily routine. Uh, that sounds like confusion. That sounds like frustration. That sounds like that insanity. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result. And so Chris said straight to him, he goes, well, um, why don't you come up with an idea? He told Josh Wagel, come up with an idea, a really, really good, something exciting, along with, along with great compensation. Let's get people excited. Let's do something. And Josh told me that he told Chris, listen, I've done an inventory of my last 10 years, and I'm done with coming up with ideas. And he said to Chris, why don't you come up with an idea? And so we were laughing because I was telling Josh, I don't have any idea. So then Josh right away goes, wow. So what are you focused on right now? And I said, I'm focused on, I focused a little over 7 years and made you probably, I easily made those Wagles 10 million. Easily. Not not before taxes, after taxes. And I said, so I've done this my whole life. And I said, it's time for me to make Matthew 10 million. I said, but it's not going to take me 7 years. And Matt and I were talking before that, right? And Matt and I was talking before that, and he was going like, you know, I'm gonna talk to Josh. I got something for him to do. And so when you guys think about people like Steve Jobs or Elon Musk, it's their ability, and I love what Matt put, vision. You know, vision inspires success in others now. Vision. Is your vision or what's on your schedule, is that enough to excite people to want them to go with you, to participate with you? When you share stuff to what you're doing with people, do they get excited too and goes, wow, I would really like to be that excited. I'd like to be a part of that. I want to be a part of that. Because here's something that makes all of us very, very unique. I'm really good at being one of the top promoters of somebody else's idea. I love finding people that have incredible vision for the future. And then I like taking and tying my wagon to their star. That's just who I am. And within that, I can have something, but it's like, you know, my whole goal, my whole entire goal is very, very simply to figure out what Matt is currently marketing and what he plans on marketing in the future. And a lot of the stuff that I know that Matt hasn't created, Matt hasn't created yet. So what I'm doing is I found a way, you know, to put Matt in front of people that have already a schedule and wanting to achieve something. And so when they have their idea or their vision and they share that with Matthew, Matthew can say, hey, listen, I know how to help you with that. I know how to make that happen. And so moving forward, you know, there was a lot of people that have been reaching out to me, asking me, where here we come back to the title again. What am I focused on? What am I focused on? Where's my vision? And what am I spending my time doing? And I'm right now spending my time promoting, viral video memes. That's just what I'm going to do. And so I thought I would share that with every one of you. I haven't been watching the chat because you guys have all that stuff going on. So that's one of the things. And for me to see, Matt on here, I don't know if Matt is, or Craig, if you guys want to answer any questions or stuff that people have put in it. But, I just really, really think that if you know what you're doing with if you know what, again, number one is know what you want, or imagine something for you and your family that you loved. Imagine a thing that you're going to do. Josh and I in our conversation, it is very, very, very bizarre that it seems like the majority of the people on the planet right now are in a holding pattern. They're just they're just in a holding pattern. They seem to have a lot of uncertainty in their life. They seem to have, yeah, they just seem to like. I don't know if you guys realize this, but it's like I reach out to a lot of people, and so the phrase that I've been using forever is like, "Hey, Sandy, do me a kindness, do me a favor. Who do you know that needs to make extra money?" And I've never in my whole marketing career just had the response of nobody. Well, how about you? No, I know to make extra money I would have to do something, and that ain't happening. That ain't happening. I don't have any extra time. My first thought in my head was a cable guy, when Matthew Broderick looked at, Jim Carrey and said, "Listen, dude, I just don't have any room or time for another friend right now." And that's sad, and of course Sandy's never said that to me. But but when things are like this, it's to try to find time that, wouldn't it be neat? I know that there's a program out there. I don't know if it's on anybody's phone. Well, wouldn't it be neat to ask everyone if they could show me? Maybe there's a program that people could also have on their computer or their laptop or their iPad, but people would have to show you how much time they spend on social media doing nothing, right? And then we have one of those programs. I'll say one quick funny story. There was I used to sell long distance for a company called ACN, and they had a piece of paper that was this big, and it was called a letter of authorization. And so a person had to fill that out with all their information and sign it to switch their long distance away from AT&T to another company. And so what I told people to do is scotch tape them together. And when you scotch tape them together to make them big, I told them to make it just big enough to cover the screen of their television, and that they couldn't watch any television till they got their 10 customers. So just taped a piece of paper on their TV. And as soon as they got those done, then they could watch their sports or watch their Netflix. Or, of course, they didn't have Netflix back then. But I think every one of you really, really gets the point. Is like, and I believe, again, learning to ask yourself that question. It's like, where am I going to find the time, and what am I going to do? And so, in my closing thing with Josh before he had to go, is I just said to him, the reason that I'm attaching my wagon, to Matthew's star right now, is I just have a really, really good feeling that AI is going to continue to advance. And again, there's going to be two groups of people. Well, three. I'm sorry, you guys know the three. There are going to be people 10 years from now. I don't know how they're going to pull it off, but they're going to pull it off. And they're going to know nothing about AI. They're not going to have anything to do with AI. I think that Matt would argue that, but there's still people I know that don't have internet and they don't have a cell phone. And if you look at the population of the United States, do any of you believe that there's still 50% of the people in the United States that doesn't have high-speed internet? That's nuts to me. But I find them all the time. It's like, listen, why aren't you on our daily wisdoms that we do every day? Well, because I'd have to take a bus down to McDonald's because they have Wi-Fi. That's where they have Wi-Fi at McDonald's. Well, why don't you have Wi-Fi at your house? Uh, I can't afford Wi-Fi at my house. Wow, how did that story come back to time? So there was never any time ever slotted for to learn stuff on in the internet, right? So if you're not going to learn how to do stuff on the internet, then probably that's never going to be your income. So anyway, Craig, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Find the time. Find the time. It's about time you found the time, right? And again, you're not going to find the time unless you know what you want and your imagination is emotionally changing you. Terry and I, when we walk the dogs every morning, there's a guy that he's a retired FBI special investigator, lives like probably a mile from us. And the stuff that he's doing to his yard is like crazy. And I just went, wow, you doing this much stuff to your yard now that you're retired? He goes, I've been telling my wife for 38 years that I didn't have the time. Now I need to find the time because I think that I still want her to be my wife. And don't we hear a bunch of these stories? It's like, the wife gets put on hold or the kids get put on hold and, I just don't have the time. And now you're retired and it's like, guess what you're doing now? We're going to finish all those damn projects you told me that you were going to do. You told me, So, Craig, back to you.
Robert, thank you. What a great message. And yeah, it is all about time. So bless you, my friend. Thank you. Just some quick announcements before we wrap up today. Don't forget, tomorrow and Friday, we have other daily wisdoms. We've got 3 for the week, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. On Thursday is the brand new Inner Circle, which is the same as Breakthroughs, but we like the name Inner Circle now, especially as we transition into the new Unlimited Wisdom. So that'll be Thursday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. Saturday, Ask Us Anything, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. Sunday, Master's Mind. You don't want to miss that. Noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. And then right back here on Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. Recess! So a full week of things that we do here on Unlimited Wisdom to share our knowledge with everybody in our community. And we love and appreciate the fact that you're here with us every single day. So thank you all very much. There's a few things in the chat. So if you want to save that chat to download, very easy to do. Click on the 3 dots in the meeting chat, then click on Save Chat. It'll download to your computer when we finish. Love and appreciate you all. I'm going to go ahead and open up so we can all say so long and have a terrific Tuesday.
Love you guys.
Okay.
See you, Star, Shelley, Matthew, Dustin,
Great master's
Laura,
mind.
Deborah,
Thank you,
Melody,
everybody.
Sarah,
Love
Thanks,
you.
Robert.
Coach Bob,
Love
Michael,
you guys.
Angela, Lisa Marie, Deborah Grady. Of course,
Bye. Thank you, Robert. Love you.
love you too. See you, Craig. Love you, man.
Yeah, bye.
Love you too. Bye.